Anyway, so last July, I talked about it last July, Gwen and I were invited to a pastoral retreat in Sitka, Alaska, with a ministry called Refresh Soul. And the heart of the ministry is to provide pastors and their wives with just some encouragement, some refreshment, connection with others, and have some outdoor adventure. I enjoy doing outdoor things, I really do, but I would not consider myself much of an outdoorsman, okay? So I would prefer, if you invite me camping, I'll go along, but I'll leave, go to a hotel, and I'll come back later. So when I heard a big part of this retreat was gonna be salmon fishing in the Sitka Sound in the Pacific Ocean, I was a little bit nervous. I even had a member of our church, thank you, Gene, give me some fishing lessons, just general fishing lessons, so I wouldn't look like a fool. Nobody wants to look like I don't know what I'm doing when I get on this boat. So I prepared myself a bit. But when we get out in the water, I realized that I don't really have much to worry about at all, because our host, Mark, literally did everything for us. He drove the boat to where the fish were. He cast the lines, put lures, bait on the hooks, watched the rods the whole time. And when he saw we had a fish on, he handed the rod to one of us and told us, exactly what to do, how fast to reel it in, when to stop. He basically did all of it. So at one point, I'm sitting in the boat trying not to throw up and get seasick, when suddenly Mark, he jumps up, we got something on, and he hands me the fishing rod and talks me through exactly what I need to do, how to reel this fish in. And all I can say is, women may go through childbirth, but that's nothing compared to what I experienced reeling in that fish. My hands were cold, were numb. I scratched my pinky finger on the reel and it hurt really bad. I couldn't even bend it right. The fish was a fighter. It was big. It's a Moby Dick of salmon, and I'm reeling it in. My hands are hurting. My pinky hurts, and my arms are burning. It was rough. I'm in big trouble. Yeah, Father's Day, yeah. But eventually, I prevailed. Look at that. It's a big fish. That looks impressive, right? But we're an honest church here at Reach Church. And if Mark would have told me, you're gonna have to go out there and reel in that salmon on your own, I wouldn't have even bothered walking down to the dock. I would have stayed in with the women and watched movies. So I may have been the one that got the fish in the boat. I did, I reeled the fish into the boat, and I may have posted that picture on social media to make it look like I caught it all by myself. Wow, some of you actually messaged me like, wow, Pastor, that's awesome. I was like, yeah, he was a fighter, But there was no way I could have done that on my own. None. And maybe that's exactly what Jesus had in mind when he told his followers that he'd make them fishers of men. So go ahead and turn your Bibles to Matthew 4. This is part 8 of our series, What We Believe, and the title for the message today is called Fishing with Fire. So let's look at this short passage from Matthew chapter 4. It says, while walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Immediately they left their nets and followed him. So these verses are typically associated with the importance of sharing our faith, right? With evangelism, that's what we call it, evangelism, sharing our faith. Go be fishers of men, go lead others to Christ. But let's be honest, if I asked you right now to raise your hand if you believe you have the gift of evangelism, very few hands would go up. Who's Alexis? Yeah, your hand would go up. I know wherever he is, right back there. He does have a gift for that. It's incredible. But very few others of hands would go up if I guess. I mean, that's like me telling you need to go catch a fish in the Salmon Sound, in the Sitka Sound for some of you. A few of you do have that gift, the ability to confidently go and share your faith, but most of you probably don't believe that you do. And if you're honest, just the thought of going out and sharing your faith with somebody is very intimidating, probably a little awkward, even a little uncomfortable. And to make matters worse, you've probably been guilted and shamed because you feel that way. I recently saw a clip of a pastor lecturing his congregation. Maybe I'll do that to you. But it's saying things like, when's the last time you shared your faith with someone? How many people have you led to Christ? When's the last time you talked to someone about Jesus? And while I appreciate the need to share our faith with others, guilting and shaming people for not doing something that's kind of intimidated and awkward and uncomfortable probably might not be the way to go. So instead of asking, why aren't we sharing our faith with other people and then heaping some guilt and shame on you to do it more, maybe there's a better way to approach how we think of sharing our faith. Maybe there's a better way to think about what evangelism can look like. And maybe there's a way for us all to be evangelists. Don't you want to be an evangelist? There's a way for all of us to be that. See, part of the problem is that evangelism is usually thought of or presented as things like one-on-one gospel presentations with other people or initiating spiritual conversations with people in our lives. And that is a good thing to do. When we think of evangelism, we automatically think of something that you do outside of the church. But I believe that it's not always the case. The importance of one-on-one evangelism outside of the church is very important. Some people are gifted in that. It's a needed, valuable thing to do. But there's another kind of evangelism that we actually all can participate in. It's called party evangelism. Doesn't that sound fun? Look at Acts chapter 2. It's a description of the early church. And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers, and awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common, and they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having, favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. By the way, I just realized I forgot to do something. Today is my middle child, Taya. It's her birthday today. She's 8 today, so if you see Taya, please tell her happy birthday. It will make her day, okay? I heard party and remembered Taya because she is a party, all right? But party evangelism, this idea is just that this happens when unbelievers encounter a community of people, a church, whose lives who have been transformed by Jesus and think, I want what they have. I want a part of that. Party evangelism happens when unbelievers see and experience a community of people with genuine love for one another, authentic relationships with one another, radical grace and joy, something they don't experience in their everyday lives, and think, I want what they have. I want to be a part of that. Think of it this way. What makes a great party? Right? You have some good food, some good music, maybe a few games, a cool thing. But the biggest factor in what makes a party really great are the people at the party, right? Nobody walks past a room of bored, miserable, grumpy people and thinks, man, I want what they have. Nobody walks past a group of people criticizing each other, complaining about everything, judging everyone around them, and thinks, that's exactly what I was missing in my life. Nobody thinks. People are drawn to a party because the people at the party look like they're actually enjoying themselves, like they want to be there. The joy is contagious. The laughter is contagious. The atmosphere it makes you want to be a part of it. That is party evangelism, which means that one of the worst things, maybe the best way to be an evangelist for you is to avoid becoming a party pooper. Nobody likes a party pooper. Now, before we point the fingers, we've all played the party pooper role at times. We've all been a party pooper. We've all been judgmental. We've all been critical. We've all been self-righteous. All of us. And if that's true, then if we can get all of that stuff, we can lay that down, maybe we'll be evangelists as well. You know, maybe we could define evangelism as simply learning how to party, learning how to be joyous, have fun, not take ourselves so seriously. The gospel is the good news that sinners are forgiven, prodigals are welcomed home, failures are restored, and the Father, he's known for throwing lavish parties for people who don't deserve it, which includes you and me, as we talked about last week. And the more we remember that, the harder it becomes to look down on others. The more we remember how much grace we've received, the more grace we extend. The more we remember that we were welcomed in, the more eager we become to welcome others in. That's why we focus on this message of grace every week. That's what transforms us. And that's what makes for a great party. See, when people encounter that kind of a group of people, marked by that kind of grace and joy and kindness and generosity and genuine love, they may see the party and join in. That's happened. Glenn already told a story about yesterday. That's a beautiful example of what this is all about. I mean, believe it or not, I like being around you all. You are a great group of people to party with. And I mean it. This is a great time coming here to be with each other because we understand grace, because we throw a great party. Look at the Message translation of Acts chapter 2. I love this. They followed a daily discipline of worship in the temple, followed by meals at home. Look what it says. Every meal a celebration. Every meal a celebration. Exuberant and joyful as they praised God. People in general liked what they saw. Every day, their number grew as God added those who were saved. Every week at Reach Church, we throw a party. And we need you to be a part of it. And you're an evangelist. If you're a part of it, you're an evangelist. You're a party evangelist. It's true. Because if you think about it, there are usually several steps involved in someone coming to faith in Jesus. There are people who plan and execute church services for us to be here, the actual party. There are people who invite people into the party. There's the teaching of the word. There's the music. There's the people who greet, who set up, tear down, the people who talk to people. There are people who just come and show up to the party, and in doing so, their showing up to the party makes it an even better party. My point is that it takes everybody involved to throw a great party. In 1934, there was a tent revival in Charlotte, North Carolina. And one night, the place was particularly packed because people wanted to hear this evangelist named Mordecai Ham. And that night, two 16-year-old boys came to the tent to see what was happening. But they found no seats, so they turned around and they started to leave. But on their way out, they were met by an usher who put his hand on one of their shoulders and said, "Boys, don't leave. I will go and find you some seats." So he brought them back to the tent, asked some other people to scoot over and sat them down. Well, Mordecai Ham's message ended with an invitation, come to know Jesus. And the musicians started playing this song, "Just As I Am." And these two boys came forward to give their lives to Jesus. One of these boys was Billy Graham. Billy Graham went on to preach the gospel to more people than anyone else in history. And the other boy, his friend, Grady Wilson, was one of the main people who organized the Billy Graham Crusades all over the world. That night in 1934, there was a party. There was a party. Someone ordered the tent, someone set it up, someone planned the event, someone played the music. Mordecai Ham got up, shared the message, and that unknown usher put his hand on two young boys and said, "Don't go. I will find you a seat." It took everybody. And that right there, that's a picture of party evangelism at its finest. Every week here at Reach Church, we throw a party, and we need you to be a part of it in some way. And when you're a part of it, you're an evangelist. You're a party evangelist. John Leonard, who wrote the best book on evangelism I've ever read, it's called Get Real. It's really good. He wrote this: Western individualism has turned the church into an event that I may or may not participate in, depending on what I get out of it. This is not what the church is to be. It is a community of people who bring the best of the grace that God has given us and give it to one another. Isn't that a beautiful description of why we're here? To give the grace to others that we ourselves have received. See, the church isn't just a place that Christians go to hang out and check a box after they've been saved. God uses the church as the primary way to share and display his grace, so outsiders can recognize what God's grace is. I can preach about God's grace till I'm blue in the face, but the reality is it's way more important for people to see God's grace, the effects of it. That's far more enticing than hearing me talk. I know hearing me talk is incredible, but until people see the overflow of what I'm saying from the stage, that's what really says, that's what I want to be a part of. That's what Acts was all about. And that changes how we view church. It really does. Instead of coming to church and asking, what am I going to get out of church today? We start going to church thinking, how am I going to share and display God's grace with other people in this room? Maybe you do it through greeting somebody at the door. Maybe it's just asking somebody, hey, how's it going? I heard you had that, how's it going? Maybe it's brewing coffee, baking some cookies. Singing, running slides, teaching children, holding a baby, laughing, smiling. Maybe it's through giving financially. Hey, parties aren't cheap. A good party costs some money. And isn't it worth it to throw a really great party? Parties aren't cheap. It's worth giving to throw a great party. Maybe it's through praying someone. Maybe it's through moving chairs. Maybe it's as simple as this. Maybe it's simply through choosing to be here. Because your presence is encouraging. It's as simple as that. A party is more fun with more people. So maybe your role in the party is just to come and be here and be a presence. But every week here at Reach Church, we throw a party, and we need you to be a part of it in some way. Let's look at Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Now we hear that phrase, good works. And what's important to know is the word good doesn't simply refer to the moral sense of good. As in, hey, don't cheat on your taxes, don't steal, don't lie. And while having good morals is a good thing, okay, let's be honest, there are plenty of non-Christians with really good morals. They have good works in a moral sense. Jesus is saying something more than let them see your morality. It's more than that. The word he uses for good carries the connotation of something attractive or compelling. It's a goodness that catches people's attention, that makes people stop and take notice, that causes people to say, wait a minute, that's different. Jesus isn't saying, here's what we think it means, but in I was often presented, Jesus is not saying, live a morally upright life so people will notice and be inspired to live that way. That's not what this passage means. He's saying, you have a light in you, which is my Holy Spirit. You have a light in you that is so compelling and so attractive. All you have to do is just let it shine. Let it shine so that the world can see my beauty on display. He's already given us everything we need. C.S. Lewis wrote a description of what that looks like. He said, already the new men and women are dotted here and there all over the earth. Every now and then one meets them. Their very voices and faces are different, stronger, quieter, happier, and more radiant. They will not be very like the idea of religious people which you have formed from your general reading. I mean, look at this shirt. It's like a flower shirt. It's like Hawaii. Anyway, they do not draw attention to themselves. You tend to think that you are being kind to them when they are really being kind to you. Isn't that so true? They love you more than other men do, but they need you less. They will usually seem to have a lot of time. You will wonder where it comes from. When you have recognized one of them, you will recognize the next one much more easily. His point is he's writing a description basically saying, look, we are going to look different because there is a light in us that cannot be hidden. We've been changed, renewed. We have a light that cannot be hidden. And knowing that, that light changes how we go fishing. See, when we think of fishing, we typically think of fishing in the context of the story that I told you earlier, right? One guy with a fishing rod, very impressive, by the way, reeling in a fish, taking a picture of it, and bragging about how big the fish was. That's usually what we have in mind when we think of fishing. And maybe that's why when we hear Jesus' call when he says, go be fishers of men, we automatically think that, okay, it's this one-on-one type of evangelism, going out and being fishers of men. And that's true, but that type of fishing isn't the only way to fish. In Taiwan, there's a small group of fishermen who set out at night to catch fish. And on a good night, if the weather is good, they can catch between 3 and 4 tons of sardines. I looked it up, it's true. 3 to 4 tons of sardines. But they don't do it with fishing rods. They're not on the side of the boat reeling in a fish one at a time. They do it with fire. They do it with light. Look at this. It's one of the coolest pictures I've ever seen. One of the fishermen on the boat lights a fire at the end of a bamboo stick. And like a magnet, hundreds, thousands of these sardines will start leaping out of the water because they're drawn to that light. So all the other fishermen on the boat, all they have to do is angle their nets and start hauling in the catch. I will make you fishers of men and women. That's what it means. I will make you fishers of men. So every week here at Reach Church, we throw a party, and you can be a part of it. Let your light shine so that the world will know what he has done for us. So, what do you say? I think that we should probably throw a party. And maybe, just maybe, we'll catch some fish in the meantime. In a sense, the words over our doors every week say something really simple and clear. Let the celebration begin. Because every week we come home to be reminded of the love of the Father. The Father who throws us a party every single time we come back.